My name is Nan Montgomery, and I'm the Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences here in Allen County. And this month's NCTC recipe of the month is going to feature kale, and we are going to make a kale pesto today. So I know sometimes kale is one of those vegetables that some people either love it or they hate it, or it might be a vegetable that your family's like, we just don't want to try that. But I promise, if you have the right flavor combinations with kale, it can be a really delicious treat for your family. So a couple things. When you go to the farmer's market or the grocery store, when you pick out your kale, you want to make sure that it's really has pretty green leaves, there's no wilting on it, that it's not yellow or have any types of spots on it. You also want to make sure that you are checking out the stems, make sure that they are not black or have any discoloration with those. And then when you get your kale back home, if you're ready to eat it right away, you want to rinse your kale in lukewarm water. So oftentimes you'll hear us say when you wash vegetables, it needs to be cool water so that you don't damage the vegetable. With kale, in order to make sure that we get all like the dirt and the debris out of all the different like cracks and crevices within the leaves, you want to use a lukewarm water. Make sure that you wash it a couple of times, once again, just to make sure that you are thoroughly getting your kale cleaned. And then it's best if you can eat your kale chopped up into bite-sized pieces. I have some examples in my bowl of chopped up kale. One thing that I would like to note is the stem. So you don't want to have the stem when you eat your kale because the stem's like tough and fibrous. So a way that you can make sure that you use all pieces of your kale is just to take the leaf and pick it off, and then you have that leftover stem, and that way you're not wasting any part of your kale. I'm going to do the same thing for this bunch and put it into my bowl. And then if you do buy kale at the farmer's market and say you don't want to eat it right away, it'll last in your refrigerator up to 3 days, and you can also freeze kale for consumption later on. So let's get started. For this kale pesto, I have 5 cups of kale chopped up into smaller pieces. I have 1 whole avocado that was ready to be eaten. I have a 1/2 cup of pistachios. I have 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. I have 2 cloves of garlic, and I have 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I decided to use a freshly squeezed lemon because I feel like it gives it a little bit better flavor, but if all you have is lemon juice in the bottle in your refrigerator, that's okay too. And then instead of minced garlic, I chose to use fresh garlic as well. I feel like between the freshness of the lemon and the garlic, it's really going to bring out the flavor of this recipe. So let's get started. You need a blender, a food processor, something where we can get all of our ingredients blended down. So I am going to start by putting my kale into my little blender. I love this little handheld blender. It does really great. Also, I did put just a little bit, since I'm using a handheld blender, I did put just a little bit of water in the bottom just to make sure that this is going to blend it properly. And with the size of this, I will probably need to do 2 rounds in my blender. That is totally fine if you don't have a large food processor and you need to blend it twice. So I'm just gonna put about half of my avocado, half of my pistachios, and really just half the ingredients because, like I said, I'm gonna have to blend this twice. And so I'm gonna put my cheese in there. And then we're gonna do our garlic. And this smells so wonderful, you all. I'm gonna just spoon out a little bit of this so that I have enough left for my second round. And then I like to take my spoon and kind of just make sure that those ingredients get, pressed down in there a little bit. Then I'm gonna put my blender top on, and we are going to blend this together. Put my plug on. We're going to take this out, and I am actually going to add a little bit more of my lemon juice. So it's okay. Sometimes with your blender, if it doesn't want to get those ingredients, it just needs you need a little bit more water in there. So we're going to add the rest of our lemon juice in here to give us a little bit more liquid. And if you're at home and you need to add some more water into this to give it more liquid, that's okay too. It will not mess up your recipe. So we're going to put our top back on, put our blender on here. Now that we have our kale pesto blended up, we are going to put it into our bowl. And it actually kind of looks like guacamole in my opinion. So we're gonna, and it smells wonderful. So I have my kale pesto and you can see it makes a lot. And then we will finish and we will make the rest of our batch. I'll use the rest of our batch for another recipe, but now we have our kale pesto and it will be ready for you all to consume. You want to make sure that you eat this within a couple of days. And some great ways that you can pair this with are different types of crackers. It also pairs well if you want to add some crackers and cheese, or even it works well with a vegetable spread. So this is a great option for you to be able to have if you have a family gathering and somebody who has different types of maybe dietary restrictions. This would be a really great recipe for you to have so that there is a healthy option available if your family is going to have a different type of gathering. And I promise you want to give this recipe a try because it's going to give you a whole new take on kale. And this is a great recipe if your family has never eaten kale. It has a lot of flavor to it and it is just amazing. So I really encourage you to try this recipe. Also, other ways that you can eat kale is raw. You can make it in salads. So olive oil and balsamic vinegars complement kale really well. You could also use kale in soups and stews. And of course, you can put kale into smoothies as well. Kale also pairs well if you want to maybe saute some kale with red pepper and olive oil and then add it with some turkey. Those flavorings work really well together and would be a really great dinner for your family. If you would like more recipes, you can contact Barry at NCTC, or of course you can always contact your local extension office and we would be happy to get you this recipe, and we look forward to seeing you next month.